RPGaDay hopes to get people talking in a positive way about tabletop role-playing games. For each day in August, use the prompt or highlighted word to inspire a blog, vlog, or social media post to celebrate everything great about our hobby with the tag #RPGaDay 2023. So today is the first of... Wait a second. Oh, shoot. Hello, yes, and welcome back to another RiotousGM Games video. The second one since kind of starting to actually put things on this channel again. I do have another weekend one-shot one that will be up at some point in the future, but things have changed, as you may see. It's not just going to be a PowerPoint slide anymore. I'm trying to get back into editing, and my girlfriend has made these little images for you know, kind of it's not my face, but it's a thing, you know. Some people use this. I mean, my face is on here, so I don't know why. It seemed like a cool idea at the time. We'll see how it goes, but they're very cool. If she had some kind of arts thing, I'd link it. But now she doesn't. If she does in the future, I guess I'll link that. But yes, thank you very much. They're cool. This is me. I'm on the screen. I can do things. It's limited things, but you know, I can drink some coffee. Does that? But yeah, RPGaDay. This is a thing that's been happening since like 2017, or maybe earlier, maybe a little bit later, something around that time at the very least. I remember because RiotousGM does it, or tries to do it every year. I think he's really trying to go and make sure he does every day this year. I'll link him up at the top, or put it in the channel description, or something, because he's the one who reminded me about it this year from posting his. But I've had a bunch of computer problems at the start of this month, and it was just not looking possible. Plus actually trying to edit stuff, along with running games and a podcast and a job. It's been busy. So I figured I'd just do 10 days at once. Is that cheating? Yes, very much so. But it's, you know, gonna be better than nothing, I think. And so that's what we're doing. So we're going from the 1st all the way up to the 10th today, and seeing what we come up with. I've not really looked in too much depth through the prompts yet, but there's been a couple of interesting ones from the ones I've heard from other people. So yeah, if you want to do this yourself, you can find, if you search RPGaDay 2023, you can find the image very easily, the one I've got on screen right now. And yeah, just post the prompt with your response, or you know, do a video, do a post on your favorite social media platform with #RPGaDay 2023. I don't know where that's going to be right now, as well, the Bird app's not the Bird app anymore, so I don't know how that's going to affect anything, but I don't use it anyway, so I'm sure you can figure something out. But let's get going with day number 1, the first RPG played this year. So, yes, 1st of August, first RPG played this year. That's actually tricky. I play quite a few games fairly regularly, and I don't necessarily remember. I'm pretty sure I've got it whittled down to 2. It would either have been Old School Essentials or Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, because at the start of this year I was running, and hope to go back to in the nearish future, a game with all wizards and sorcerers in 5th edition, which has been a challenge to balance and stuff, because I mean, largely, particularly because of the spell slow, which just makes everything tricky. But hey, just having a whole bunch of glass cannons essentially really mixes things up. We've got some variety, but they are all wizards and sorcerers, so none of them have loads of hit points, or particularly high AC in any case, but lots of powerful magic. But it's been a lot of fun. We've got some cool characters, got some cool character concept going on, and we did run an in-person session, I think, at the start of the year. I think it was within the first few days of January. However, I'm not entirely sure. It could have also been the last few days of December. The other one is Old School Essentials, which is a game that RiotousGM has been running for us in the Dolmenwood setting, which he mentions at least once or twice in his RPGaDay videos, which is a lot of fun as well. Obviously, D&D 5th edition, I don't imagine people need much talking about. It's cool. It's not technically what got me into role-playing games, but it's kind of what made my the game grow and everything. And then you know, this year's been an interesting time for players of D&D, and I've got so many third-party books and such like that it's unlikely I'll stop. But it's definitely now time to look elsewhere for things, and I finally tried Pathfinder, which I'm sure I'll come and speak about at some point, and yeah. That's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the first RPG played this year. So yeah, I think it was either running a very heavily wizard and sorcerer D&D 5th edition game, kind of the final big battle where this huge portal that's being teared open between the Feywild and the material plane, and they had to try and destroy this machine that's in this big like ziggurat kind of structure. And this was before I'd started listening to Critical Role in any intensity, so they then had a ziggurat in there, and I was like, oh, that's there's a lot of times where I come up with something and then it pops up in Critical Role a few weeks later, and I have to roll my eyes. It's like, damn it, Matt thought of it first. But hey, there's only so many big structures you can have in these kind of things, I suppose. So it was either that or it was OSC, where I don't remember what we were doing at the start of this year. We were probably still doing the one with the sun not moving bit. It was very cool. The sun was stuck over this place and not setting. I can't remember what it was called, but it was awesome. It was very, very cool, very whimsical, but also very creepy, which is kind of the whole idea of Dolmenwood. It's pretty cool. I'm sure RiotousGM will correct me or remind me if I got that completely wrong. But I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. And that is day number 1. Day number 2, first RPG Game Master. I'm assuming that means the first game you game mastered in an RPG. Alright. So I might be wrong with this, but I think that's what this means. Just going back a bit now. I had played again at RiotousGM's house a game of I think it was like Redbox. I don't know if it was original Redbox, like a remake thing, but that's kind of the thing that he got from somewhere recently, and I was there for the day, or for the weekend or something, and jumped into the game with him and a couple of others, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I didn't realize you could do this. This is a really cool idea. And from there, left and was like, oh, I don't do more of that. Didn't go away and look for any books or anything. I just wrote my own one, which at the time I called Realms, and it was a D6 system. I think used a bunch of D6s. I think I can't quite remember how it worked, but it wasn't. I don't think it might have been 3D6s. It might have just been a 1D6. I can't quite remember. It was a long time ago. It was like at least like 8 years, maybe 9 or even 10, maybe not 10, but at least 8 or 9, I think. I used D6s, and it was very, you know, D&D-esque, but that was before I played 5th edition, so didn't have any of that to it just yet. So yeah, technically Realms was the first thing I game mastered. But then if we're talking about a proper, you know, actual fully published thing, then that would have been, yeah, 5th edition. Not the first game I played, clearly. I played quite a few things before it. But the first thing that I ever got around to running myself was in my my school game with a bunch of people after one person kind of finished what they wanted to do as the GMI. I took it up and we kind of went in a circle. And then each of us kind of ran something for a little bit, or almost all of us. And then after that, I've kind of been GMing ever since. Not like all the time. I still get to play somewhat often, but with certain groups, much less so. But hey, I do enjoy running the game, so I can't complain about that. So yeah, first RPG Game Master was technically a thing I wrote myself, Realms, but it published things was 5th edition. And so next we have the 3rd of August, first RPG bought this year. Yeah, I buy a lot of these. That's kind of why I have weekend one-shots. Because there's so many cool systems out there. I think what I did first this year was buy some more OSE stuff. That wasn't new. They already had some OSE books, so I think I bought the box sets. Or kickstarted the box sets and they arrived. And they bought some other stuff. Bought a whole bunch of adventures, that's for sure, this year for OSE. But I think the first true RPG in its entirety that I bought that I've never played before this year, the first one, was Pathfinder 2e. After the whole OGL debacle. And I was like, yep, that's not great. And I've always wanted to try 2nd edition Pathfinder. I played a little bit of 1st edition Pathfinder in the Alcadim setting. Again, with RiotousGM, that name's going to come up a lot. And then we converted that to 5th edition, which was, to be fair, much more streamlined and much less clunky. But yeah, I bought the core rule book and started reading through and had a look at everything and was like, I really like this. And then went to buy more books and discovered that everyone else had the same idea, and that there were no books left, which was awesome for Paizo and for my wallet. And now, obviously, they're doing the remasters or whatever they're called of Player Core 1, Player Core 2, GM Core 1, and Beast Core 1 or something. Something like Monster Core, I think maybe. That sounds like weird music style. Anyway, something like that. So I will be I don't know, probably buying those and give my current rulebook to one of my other players, my girlfriend or something, so that, you know, they can read through it, because a lot of the information is still going to be accurate, but just not all of it. So yeah, that's the first one I bought this year. Glad I did, even if I do have to kind of rebuy it pretty soon, or don't have to, but will, because it's really freaking cool. I'm really enjoying that. That's day number 3. Day 4 of August. Most recent game bought. I do know what that one is because it's most recent. I do have some other things I want to kind of buy this month. I've been looking at a bunch of Ubiquity things, Leagues of Cthulhu or Leagues Adventure, things like that. But what I most recently bought was Achtung Cthulhu, or Achtung. I don't quite know how to pronounce it, but Achtung Cthulhu by Modiphius, which is still Cthulhu, but it's a 2d20 system of Cthulhu. I've been back in a Conan game recently, which is 2d20 by Modiphius, again by RiotousGM. He's been running it for us, and that's been a lot of fun, but it made me think, yeah, I do quite like 2D20 systems, and I do quite like Call of Cthulhu things, but Call of Cthulhu obviously is very dangerous to be a player in, and this is a bit more pulpy with Cthulhu. So yeah, that's why I got that. I've not had a chance to play it yet. That's going to join the list, but quite a different breed of game. Much more, yeah, pulp horror rather than just horror, I suppose. So yeah, looking forward to getting to play that. The 5th day of August is oldest game you've played. Now, again, trying to think about what it means exactly by this. I'm assuming it means the game that is the oldest that you've played. And again, I think technically, again, if that's actually what it was, that is Redbox. Because that's from probably before I was born. But that was like for one session. The one game that I've played consistently, or more than just like as a one-off, that's the oldest, I imagine, is Ubiquity's Hollow Earth Expedition, because those books are from the early 2000s, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on two of them, the core one and Secrets of the Surface World, because someone else is getting rid of them, and I swiped them up. But looking for any of the others, the Mysteries of Hollow Earth and the some things of Revelations of Mars, nearly impossible to find now because the book's so old. Or if you do find them, they're expensive. So yeah, I think Hollow Earth Expedition, which is again kind of pulp, turn of the century stuff. Nazis and dinosaurs is kind of always the thing people say to kind of figure out what it is, or to kind of explain what it's like. Kind of Indiana Jones-esque, and in fact, Hollow Earth Expedition is the system that I used to run an Indiana Jones style campaign one shot for July's weekend one shots, which will again come out soon, hopefully. Over one of those games I've managed to actually record it. So yeah, Hollow Earth Expedition, a lot of fun with that system. Again, very different to kind of D20 systems, as it's all just, I mean, you either Ubiquity dice or you're rolling odds or evens. Very kind of quick, very rules light. Or not rules light, but kind of flows very quickly and very easy to grasp once you get into it. And again, quite a fun, different system to like fantasy D20 systems. Day the 6th. Doing all these once means I'm trying to say what the date is in a different way each time, and I'm not sure about that, but we've done it. Favorite game you never get to play? Ooh, that's an interesting one. I honestly don't know. I mean, I suppose in a sense, honestly, at present, I could say Pathfinder, because I really like Pathfinder at the moment, but I'm the person who's introducing everyone else to Pathfinder, so I'm the one running Pathfinder. It can't really be the other way around just yet, which is kind of the unfortunate curse of me being the one who goes, that looks cool, I'm gonna buy that and learn how that works. Is that I then buy that and learn how that works and then run it, and everyone else plays it, and it's a great time. But unless it's 5th edition, or Call of Cthulhu, that's mostly it. For games that or like OSC and DCC, if Conan, if RiotousGM is running or something. But again, it's a little bit different. But yeah, no, Pathfinder probably, because I'm really enjoying that, and yeah, at the moment, Goop's just too new. Maybe someday. Number 7, the smartest RPG you've played. Now I know RiotousGM's answer for this was the Alien TTRPG, and I have that sitting up on the shelf, and I remember the rules being pretty clever and pretty interesting, but I've not played it, not yet. So that's off the table. The One Ring, do quite like how that works as well. A couple of little bits and bobs in there though that didn't quite make sense to me from like being the smartest. A lot of fun though, and like the positions in battle and stuff was very cool. Um, yeah, it's not 5th edition. It's probably not going to be Hollow Earth Expedition either. Honestly, again, at the moment, probably gonna go with Pathfinder. I think, yeah. Now that I'm kind of understanding it more and grasping it better, Pathfinder. I really like a lot of what it does. I think the 3-action economy makes a lot of sense. I like that you have single number penalties and modifiers to things. That makes a lot of sense to me as well. I like the way it deals with magic. I know it's not for everyone, but I like how it tackles all of that. Oh, what else? There's so many things, and I put myself on the spot here and not thought through an answer, which I will definitely be doing next time. The way it does classes and customization, and ancestries and heritages, I really like as well. The way that the things work together, the way healing's done, how perception can work with initiative, or it can be stealth, things like that. Lots and lots of stuff that I've just been thinking, yeah, that's really cool, and oh yeah, why didn't I think of doing it that way? That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, at the moment, Pathfinder, I think so. So the next one is the 8th of August. Favorite character. Yeah, and I'm gonna take another page out of RiotousGM's book and not choose one of mine because I haven't played an awful lot of them, and when I have, I've never really got to explore too many of them for too long. I'm in a 5th edition game at the moment with a character called Rianiel, who was like she's a paladin of this order that's rather speciest, I suppose you should say, and has kind of been slowly discovering that, yeah, that's not great, and that also maybe the god that they supposedly worship is actually a thing that they're supposed to hate. So that's been very interesting to kind of go down that path with, and that's not finished. But they are cool. I do quite enjoy them and what's going on there. But I'm also going to choose someone else's character, which is a player from mine in a game I ran called Scams. It was called Scams because it was kind of like a thiefy, sneaking around heist kind of game that ended up being more of a just kind of sandbox adventure kind of game sort of thing, with them kind of collecting these ancient relic weapon things. Yeah, and it was all of their initials made up the word Scams. But that was a couple of years ago, and one of them made a Kenku bard called Monkey Russell. And obviously, being a Kenku, at least at that time anyway, you could only, repeat sounds that you'd heard others say. And they would use vicious mockery quite a bit. But the jabs and the mockeries that they would give would always be insults that had been, said towards them. So they'd shout things like, "Oh, look at you, you fool! You don't have wings." I can't think of any good ones off the top of my head, but there'd all be like jabs to the fact that Kenku don't have wings, or that they can't fly, or that you can only repeat sounds and use mimicry, all those kind of things, instead of actual quips that would potentially actually offend the person. And it was just very funny. Down there, had a pair of bagpipes, and they just did all sorts of chaotic things. And they probably were an agent of chaos because that is a part of that leveling system. But yeah, Monkey Russell was an awesome character. I do wanna see them go back to that game at some point because they were a lot of fun. But yeah, too much to do, too little time, and all that. So yeah, Monkey Russell, awesome character. And we are nearly there. We are on the 9th of August with favourite dice. I have a lot of dice. I have some cool metal ones that are pretty neat. I've got a gemstone dice for one of my friends for my birthday last year, or the year before maybe. Time goes far too quickly. And that was a lot of fun. It's very cool. It's very sparkly. I do like that one quite a lot. I've got a couple of hand-painted ones for one of my friends, which are very pretty and I do like a lot. And they're not what I'm going to go with because they also did me a larger D20 one. And I was like, ooh, could you do it like with kind of map stuff on it so that I can roll and figure out, kind of what's going on when people are like going like through wilderness and stuff. And they did that, and so it's got all sorts of like map wandery kind of things on it. And it's very cool. It's very cool, very pretty, and I do quite like that one a lot. I don't get to use dice that much these days because most things are online because it's just easier. And I haven't had a chance to use that dice in person yet because I've not run any kind of fantasy wandering games in a little while in person. But I really like that dice. It's very cool. And the final one, favourite tie-in fiction. This one kind of confuses me as to what it means. I'm assuming it means kind of a narrative, a fiction that ties into the game you're playing. So it's not like favourite licensed RPG, which would be something like The One Ring, or Avatar, or Dark Souls, or Doctor Who, or Alien. It's a narrative, like, so it'd be like, Fabian and the Sword Coast if you're running 5th edition potentially. Or is it Galarian in Pathfinder? Less well, no, that stuff less so. Because I'm still kind of getting into all of that. So I guess it's more specific to those kind of things. That's a tricky one. I mean, again, I've got some cool campaign settings. I've got the Historian one, which I've not really had a chance to run yet, where things are all like kind of Redwall-esque, so everyone's anthropomorphized animals in a kind of Renaissance-esque kind of aesthetic. That's pretty cool, but that's kind of a general concept. It's not specific to the entire lore, which I've got to go back and read more of. So there's that. I mean, Dolmenwood's very cool. It's kind of the whimsical Grimm Brothers thing of fairy tales, while also being very kind of creepy and dark. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a way as well, it's kind of feels a bit, egotistical to say and all that, because it's probably just I think it's pretty cool. But I quite like the kind of the fiction I have for some of my worlds, or for my world that has many continents and things that I need to figure out how to bring together. I've always quite enjoyed writing and doing world building stuff. So I guess in a way that's my favourite kind of fiction because I enjoy writing it and exploring it. But Dolmenwood probably for something that's not mine, because yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool, unique kind of atmosphere that it has. That's probably what to go with. So yeah, Dolmenwood. Okay, and there we go. That is the first 10 days of RPGaDay 2023 in one video. And if you thought we were leaving it there, then you were a fool, because we have 5 more days. But also, why would you? Because the title says the 1st to the 15th. Okay, well it turns out, no, I am the fool, because I initially did this for 10 days. I was going to do 3 videos, 1st to the 10th, 11th to the 20th, and then, you know, the 21st to the 30th. I know, months. Oh boy. 31st, I don't know months. Okay. So that's what I was going to do. And then I got to the 10th, and I was still editing. And I got to the 11th, and I was still editing. And I got to the 12th, and eventually it got to a point where it was like, okay, no, let's just try and record the next 5. And he said all of the 15th, and let's do 2. So that's what's happening. I need to really tell you that, because you wouldn't have known if I didn't mention this, but I did it. So there we are. 5 more. We're not done yet. Here we go. Number 11 is weirdest game you have played, and I'm taking this as particular specific game rather than a game system, because weird game systems is I don't really know. I don't really have any. I don't think I've really particularly played any weird game systems. I'm aware of a couple, but I haven't actually played them. But the weirdest game in particular I have played, I think, would be a Call of Cthulhu one-shot that RiotousGM, here he is again, run for us, and I've run since, called Disassociation, which is by Stygian Fox Publishing. It is a modern scenario, and it's not for the faint of heart, both for running and playing, and also for me talking about it. So I will leave a timestamp or something as to when I finish talking about it. But yeah, Disassociation from, I think it's Fierce Sharp Little Needles. A lot of the ones in there are great. They're very creepy, very chilling, and also quite weird. But yeah, gotta be careful. So I'm talking about that now. If you don't really want to hear some potentially messed up stuff, not super messed up, but yeah, covering all bases. Skip ahead to whatever I've got put in the corner. Also, spoilers for Disassociation. If you play Call of Cthulhu and you might want to get someone to run it, then mention it to your keeper, or if your other keeper have a look. Obviously, you have to read it then. But yeah, it's a great, weird, creepy one. So, Disassociation. Essentially, there are a bunch of. Oh yeah, now I'm putting my Cthulhu lore into question. Cthulhu lore, Lovecraftian mythos lore. There we go. Me-Go, the experimenter people, and it starts off with you being in a plane, and they kidnap you from the plane, which freezes in midair, and then you wake up in a mysterious round metal cylinder, but you can't see, you can't hear. You can speak to the people, but you can't see them, and you're like a big metallic circle thing, and then you disappear from there again, and you wake up, and you are a bunch of different people in a house in a completely different place, and there are dead people on the floor, and you are naked and covered in blood, and the police are at the door. Go. And when I ran this for people, they legged it, and managed to get away. But when we did it, we stood and waited for the police, and had a whole interview with the police where they asked about who we were and what we were doing. And then, like, someone's wife came in and was like, "What have you done? You've been missing for 3 days." And they tell this, and it's like, "We're not these people." And then you feel a sharp pain in your head, and then you go back to the mysterious metal jar place. Only to wake up again in a second place, where you're different people again, and you're in this there's this like campsite, I think it was. I played this a long time ago, so I'm trying to remember as best I can now. And there's these structures, and in each of them they've got these grotesque statues made of like mangled like flesh and body parts and like mouths and eyes and genitalia and stuff. And there's this mysterious thing which is it's a bomb, and you can either activate it or not. If you collect the things from each of these places and you put the rods in, it'll blow up. And if you don't blow it up, the things ask, oh, why didn't you do it? And then you feel a strange pain in your head again. And it's like, what on earth is going on? We keep being different people and then being this strange room. It was really weird at the time to be playing through. And then you go back to the metal place one more time and come out of it, and you are on an island, I think, or you're flying. Are you flying to an island or something? And then this giant shambling horror attacks you. You just run away from it. And eventually, you do manage to find the creatures in this temple or structure who have been experimenting on you, and they disappear through a portal. And have another thing that's going to blow up everything. But you can, if you get there in time, you can disable it and find that the reason you're in metal casings is because your brain is in a jar. It's the brain jar thing, which is the speaker in the darkness. I should have checked, but I did not. So there we are. But it's really good. Lovecraft book from the perspective of the horror, obviously. And then even after that, there's a follow-up bit where you've left and you think you've made it, but the pilot that you were with doesn't actually exist, and it's still like, are you still part of this experiment, or is it finally over? What's going on? But it was such a mind trip. It was so creepy. It was just really good. It kept you guessing. It was a lot of fun. I wish that I've done it justice when I've played it for people since. I'm not quite sure that I have, but I'd like to run it again for some other unsuspecting victims who would be in the right mindset for it, because it is such a great one shot. So that's definitely my answer for day 11. Disassociation. It's very weird. Now, day 12, old game you still play, is going to be a bit of a short one, I think, because the quick answer is Hollow Expedition, because oldest game I've played and old game I still play is the same. I played Hollow Expedition a few days ago, up on the channel soon. And yeah, that's the answer. I guess again, like with that, I play OSC now, which is based on like advanced D&D, I think, and stuff like that, so that's kind of true as well. But for an in and of itself thing, it's Hollow Expedition. So it's a bit boring, unfortunately, because that's the same as the oldest game you played. I don't know if it means like an old game that you keep going back to, but I don't really have one of those at present. So yeah, that's the answer to day number 12. Day number 13. Most memorable character demise. Now, this one could very well be like a funny moment, like, oh, that's quite funny. We did have one of those where a character they were gnome, and they got absorbed by water elemental, and had some bagpipes, because they were bard and frankly trying to figure out if they could breathe through bagpipes, and they could, but they were still taking damage from stuff, and then one of the other characters managed to fire 2 attacks into the elemental, missed the elemental and hit them, and got crits on both and killed them. Another character in that game was a wizard, and he teleported himself into the middle of a bunch of gnolls, thinking he wouldn't be hit, or he kind of forgot how attacks worked and advantage, and got himself completely mullered. There was some unfortunate deaths in that game, but that's not my most memorable, because my most memorable is a much more tragic one from a game I ran called Misfits, which was a bunch of misfits strangely enough. Started off as a kind of one-shot thing. You had a lizard man, a strange man in a strange world, who was like a samurai from a far off land who had come to this new place. You had a sorcerer who didn't really want to be a sorcerer and didn't want to accept that they had this adventuring life. You had an automaton, a warforged, one of the few created, who was just very different to everything around him because he escaped from a distant land as well, not a distant land stuff. And you had what we called a Maya, but they were it's not Maya like the M-I-E-R, but a tabaxi, basically, cat folk. Paladin called Tanatharini, who's a paladin of Felis, and kind of had this relationship where they were kind of very much in love with them. They were a great character, thought about truth and justice and truth, but they weren't the smartest, and the other characters aren't particularly truthful around them, and they keep hanging them up on it, but then they had another lie to get around it, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, there's one mission they had to do for this group that they were working for at the time, involving steampunk-esque kind of flying devices, flying ships, and they'd recently, Tanatha particularly, rescued this child, and kind of taken them under their wing, and it was really cool, and I was kind of come up with some stats for like a companion kind of thing, which you've got useful in 5th edition actually, but that kind of idea is going to be great. And then the ship crashed, and they couldn't get out, and there wasn't much they could do, and it crashed, and they were both gone. Like that. It was a pretty shocking moment. Because we'd had characters die before, but not any that we'd been with for kind of so long. This session I think might actually be up on the channel somewhere. It will be one of the Misfits Season 2 ones, probably towards the end. I'll put a link up or something. It probably won't be as amazing. I mean, it's my fairly early DMing, so I don't know if it'll be amazing, but it won't probably be as emotional outwardly as it was for us at the time. But they'd had communication with their deity, Felis, and another deity that's kind of irrelevant to this point before. It's kind of like vast green field, and they had done a whole bunch of services for this deity and for this other deity as well, and they said, look, we have the power, and we will give you the power to send one of you back, but it can only be one. And obviously they chose to save the child, but I had to come up with that in the moment, and I was quite happy with it. But it was the first kind of memorable death, and it was a very important character to that play as well. And but yeah, that was definitely the most memorable character demise. Indeed. Rest in peace, Tanatha. Okay, on to a more positive note. Day number 14, favorite convention purchase. These two next ones are going to be a bit tricky for me because I've only done one con. I've done Dragonmeet 2022. That was my first one. I was going to go to Dragonmeet or something in 2020, and obviously that got cancelled. So 2022 was my only one. But I did buy a couple of things. Honorable mention is Inspirisles, which is like an RPG that could be used to teach sign language, which I bought and is one of the many things I want to play because it seems really cool and there's not a chance to get around to it yet. But that's awesome. I want to play that. I got a cool mug and all that kind of stuff that said, how do you want to do this? Which I broke last week and was very sad about. That sucked, but hey, these things happen. But my favourite purchase, which I've also not had a chance to play yet, but it's really cool, is a Call of Cthulhu. Again, Call of Cthulhu. I'm just reaching for it now to make sure I can check who published it. Yeah, again, Stygian Fox Publishing, called Occam's Razor, which are 7 modern-era adventures of mystery and death, and that's all they are. They are not a cult. There is no Cthulian stuff going on them, so the idea is you're running a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and you can slide those in there, and people were like, oh, this thing's really messed up, this is really terrible, what's going on? And there's no occult nonsense. There's no Lovecraftian terrors or anything, it's just regular stuff. It's the Occam's Razor, which is such a cool idea, and I'm so looking forward to running that when I get back to doing the Call of Cthulhu campaign. Any of my players who have listened to this are now going to be terrified for any Call of Cthulhu games in the future if they remember, because there might not be anything like that. They might be getting in their own head about stuff, which is actually completely normal, which is a lot of fun. Definitely favourite convention purchase, but like I say, Inspirisles also really cool, and looking forward to playing that too. Favourite con module / one shot is day 15. So it's got module / one shot in caps. I'm guessing it means con module or one shot. Or the very same is because I don't have any con modules because I've not played any con games. Again, I've only been to one con. It's the first time. I wasn't really feeling comfortable enough to play in conventions, playing a game with, you know, potentially strangers. At the very least, a DM or game master that I did not know. So I haven't done any of those yet. So I'm just going to go with favorite one shot. And then I'm not going to go with quite favorite one shot because that was number 11 weirdest game you've played. So that limits that a little bit more. So instead, I am going to go with there's a one shot that I've written that I quite enjoy myself. But I don't want to put one of myself in, which means I'm going to have to default back to RiotousGM again for the first kind of one shot he ran back before I was really into games properly. He ran it for me and his son and a few of my friends who are now much bigger into gaming, to Chris and Tan, and my girlfriend at the time, and maybe someone else, but I think that was about it. And he ran a game using basic fantasy, which I haven't played since, but I have it. And it was, I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of similar to The Name of the Rose, which is a film, and it was about a monastery. And there was these murders happening, and it turned out to be this revenant. But I just have fond memories of that because it's kind of my first like full adventure RPG experience, and also because there was this opening desk that he kept mentioning it opened, because essentially the whole explanation of the plot was on a really cool handwritten, tea-stained, cracked note inside, and we just missed it. He just came back, and this desk, which could open, it's an openable desk, and we're just like, yep, well, we've seen everything here, let's go. And we were like, well, I guess we've solved it in the end, but we don't know really what happened because we'd missed this thing, and it was just very funny after the fact, and still looking back at it, and at least I laugh. And it was just cool to kind of show it to some of my friends as well. This new thing that we now all know and love quite a bit more, even if we haven't played Basic Fantasy since. That's another one I would like to do another one shot in, just to see what it's like. But yeah, I'll jump back to my original outro now. We've done these initial 5. Yeah. I hope that was interesting. And I've given you some things to look out for or to look into potentially. I know I mentioned Pathfinder quite a bit and Dolmenwood a couple of times, but I'm trying to mix it up a little bit there. And yeah, let me know what your RPGaDay 2023 things are, either down in the comments or post them yourselves. And I will see you in the next video, whether that is RPGaDay days 11 to 20, or it is actually the weekend one-shots. We'll find out. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.